And now the results are in. Taking the podium this month for the Cycling Men of Leisure:
Franklin Johnson, Alex Bell, Barbara Sharp, Mandy Johnson, Kip Uthold, Joe Grammer, Dennis Keeler, and honorable mention, Keith and Melanie Erickson.
No kissing of the cheeks, no prize money, no champagne. Just our undying gratitude and the smug satisfaction of getting every regular show 2 days before the general public.
That's right. That's 48-hour gap. Not even Pogacar. You know what? Toddy can close that.
Welcome to the leisure breakaway. Catch the sun and seize the day. Push the limit, feel the heat. Listen to the rhythm beat. Keep on moving, never slow. Where the yellow jersey goes. The tour is calling out your name. This is the leisure
All right, welcome back. It is Cycling Men of Leisure's Leisure Breakaway. That is basically our little mini podcast looking at the day-to-day activities at the 2026 Tour de France. Today is a rest day, but the race thus far has been incredible. There's been crazy mountains. There's been some weather. There's really been some amazing speeds, and we will talk about that and some other things here in the next few minutes. But I'm Michael, and with me, as always, is my good friend from Michigan, Adam.
Hello, everybody. It's rest day, but no rest for the wicked, as I have a podcast dossier.
Wow.
That's
getting
right.
Fancy now. Now I'm starting to feel bad.
Well, I'm blowing out them tokens on AI. You know, I have a feeling that there's some sort of conspiracy theory. Not that I want to spread conspiracy theories, but the fact that AI calls things tokens and Bitcoin calls things tokens, I kind of find that suspicious. Anyways.
It's all imaginary currency.
That's right. That's right. I'm loving your Bianchi hat. I mean, it goes along with your Italian stallion bicycle.
That's right. Sporting the Bianchi bicycle cap here from back in the days when that's what they wore to protect themselves from smashing their head into the concrete.
Which is like my father told me, his first leather football helmet when he played football in high school. And I said, no wonder something's not right with you.
Well, that explains it, Dad. No,
yeah.
I like your dad. He's a great guy. I did not know that he played football and that they used the leather helmets. So
yeah. Well, I didn't know that you were a Windows salesman until about 5 minutes ago. So
very, very brief period in my career. But yeah, going to people's homes, measure it, tell them, the double pain, the triple pain.
Like 10 years.
It's a short period of my career.
Actually,
I had to do something.
You know what? We should be celebrating right about now. It is 10 years. This is 10 years. We were at Ragbri 10 years ago when we met.
We were. Well, we didn't officially mate. We had actually met several months before on Zoom calls, but
when I said, do you need a bicycle lock?
Yeah. Oh, God. Who invited this guy to Ragbri with us? It's the question every new person asks when they go on these long. Do I need a bicycle lock? Well, now I'm not going to make fun of the people who choose to use a bicycle lock. I get it. Bicycles mean different things to different people. I love my bicycle. If it gets stolen tomorrow, I'll be a little sad, but I'll let insurance buy me a new one. But
I remember Well, I'm gonna go off into the weeds here because this is a Road Adventures of Cycling Night of Leisure. I mean, I remember being on the phone asking like, well, and what if the bikes get stolen? What do we do? And you're like, they won't. There are thousands of bicycles, and I'm sure everyone has a nicer bike than you. And I'm like, well, you got a lot of damn gall to make fun of my bike. And I remember asking like, well, what do we do if there's rain? And you're like, you ride through it. And I'm like, anyways, I asked a lot of silly questions. I'm going to be on
novice questions is what you asked.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You were asking those questions to prepare. And that I think was good as opposed to going, oh, I'll figure it out. But you did well on that first ride.
Yeah. That was good. You'll have to go back and scour through some of the old episodes and you can hear some of our original origins. But that's not why you're here. You're here because the dossier prepared for cycling. I mean, it was even prepared for us. We have highlights, standings, crashes, controversies, anti-doping developments. We've got monster numbers, and we have some cool things to talk about. So set the stage for us. Where are we at right now?
Well, I'm in just outside of Kansas City, and you're in Michigan. And
I just bought
okay,
windows.
I don't think that's what you meant. We have completed 15 stages?
15 stages.
15 stages. This is the second of 2 rest days that they have throughout the tour, which rest is really kind of a loosely used word because none of those athletes are really resting today, but it's a rest day. Tomorrow, we will have the only individual time trials of the race. So that's going to be a little bit different format. If you're not, you turn on your TV and you're like, what's going on here? Didn't we see this on day one? Nope. The team time trials were day one. Stage 16 is going to be the individual time trials, which will be interesting and may shake some things up. But that's where we're at right now. What do you got?
Well, if you've paid attention to our little mini series at this point, you don't need me to yammer on. So we're going to lose this page here. But what we are going to keep is let's talk about some spotlight stories because we like the word
Don't worry
spotlight.
about it, folks. He'll make up for that page you just threw. Trust me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But we do have some spotlight stories. We got Pogacar and cycling immortality. 4 wins this tour. It's lifted him so far, exactly. But that means he has about 25 career tour stage victories. A 5th overall tour would place him alongside some of the best. We've got Evenepoel's tour changes overnight. Stage 15 was Evenepoel's first tour road stage victory and his 75th professional win. But we also have Pidcock's daily gamble. He's got repeated breakaways. He's been pushing off vehicles twice, and he's been busted for 20 seconds, which we're going to get into a little bit later. 8 mountain points and 30 UCI points, and we're going to talk about that. But let's talk about the one of the biggest pieces that has happened, of course, is the Vingegaard crash. Did you see the story that Del Toro says that he crashed on purpose so he would not crash his own teammate, Pogacar? Did you see that?
I did not see that, but that totally makes sense. He's your team captain. You sacrifice, for that purpose. So makes sense.
Well, let's talk about some monster facts and figures. I mean, let's you've mentioned it a few times, but it's about 3,300 kilometers for the total race distance. Now, here's what's just absolutely amazing. Overall, throughout the entire race, there is 30. Mark them 30. I mean, I complain about 1, but there are 30 category 2 and category 1 and HC climbs. On stage 11 by itself, the average reported road stage record, 50.9 kilometers an hour. But here's more interesting. This is something that just blows your mind. On stage 15, before the rest day, with almost 4,100 vertical meters of climb, the average speed, 42 kilometers an hour, 41.9 to be honest. But I mean, that's the average. And those guys are climbing and climbing and climbing. That's insane. I mean, that to me, that's just absolutely amazing. But we've got a couple things. There's 31 points separating Pedersen's green lead over Philipsen. But 10 years is the potential anti-doping sample storage. So, you know, we talked about in the mini series yesterday, we talked about, you know, how they woke up Vingegaard at 2 a.m. and Pogacar at 5 a.m. And now those samples they're going to be stored for 10 years. Mm-hmm. We could be like 9 years down the road and they can be like, oops, guess what we found?
Well, I mean, let's look back at Lance Armstrong.
Your favorite.
I mean, yeah. That was 7 years. I mean, you know, if you don't keep those samples and you just say, oh, we're keeping them for this season and then throwing them out, what happens later if you find out they've been doing something that you didn't exactly, you know, realize? You can go back and test those samples to see if they were doing it back then.
Right.
So, I mean, it makes sense. You know, I don't know where they keep these samples. Somebody's got a big refrigerator in their garage. No, I'm joking.
You want some chocolate milk or I don't know, looks like some samples or something here. So
UCI is using my my garage fridge again to store the samples.
You know, I would assume, all kidding aside, they probably keep them frozen, right? I mean,
I would think. I'm sure there's some scientific laboratory somewhere that just warehouses things like that. And I'm sure they rent out a section and it's all very clinically climate controlled and available if they decide later on that they need to retest samples or what have you.
Well, let's talk about samples for a second. Besides reading facts and figures off of some data sheets, let's be realistic here. I understand that there was cheating and a huge story, obviously. I mean, I'm not sure, and you've admitted before that you have not listened to a lot of podcasts, but the Lance Armstrong podcast was amazing, of how he got caught and how his teammates lied for him and why they lied for him and the reasons. And if you ever, I know you're not a fan of him, but if you ever want to hear some of the amazing things that they, not amazing would sound like I'm glorifying it, and I'm not glorifying it, but the interesting things they did to get away with
effort that they went to. How about that?
Thank you. Because I don't want to be like, oh, it's amazing, you know. But yes, the level of effort they went through. But what about waking up at 2 and 5? I mean, have you thought about that throughout the last couple of days? We talked about it, you know, on you and I did a little bit of research ahead of time. Then we recorded the show, and then of course we edited the show and got it out. But I don't know. I've been thinking about it recently. I mean, I thought about it driving home today, like knowing that we were going to get together tonight. And I don't know. It seems like, don't you think there's a better way in 2026 to test these guys to see if they're taking performance enhancing pills, thrills, drugs? I mean,
well, they say that they need to have that testing between those hours because they could be doing something that would be gone by the time the race starts or just before the race. Okay. I'm not a doctor. That I'm going to assume is true. I think my concern is, are you doing this to every single one of these riders throughout the course, waking them up in the middle of the night? Or was this just a random thing where, hey, we're going to wake these guys up? My next question is then to these folks is, how do you make the determination who gets woken up at what time? Because me, don't wake me up at 2:00. Wake me up at 5, because that's going to be closer to the time that I'm going to get out of bed. 2:00 is in the middle of the night. To me, that would be more disruptive to my sleep than if you woke me up at 5. Honestly, I think whatever time they're getting up, I'm guessing they're getting up at 6, somewhere in there. I say right when they're scheduled to get out of bed, that's when you go in and pull them for testing. Or 30 minutes before they're getting up. So you're getting close to the end of their sleep cycle, so it's not as disruptive. Because you could say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you said that the other night, and I kind of I was more focused on the show and not exactly, I should have been more focused on what you were saying, but you do make a good point. I mean, all things considered, shouldn't everybody be woken up at 2 a.m. then?
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to do it, now I know there's too many people to figure out how to do it and say, you know what? We're waking up this block of people at this time. We can, figure out a way to mass do it. So it's like we can wake up 20 people at this time and they can all take the test at the same time and we can process it. That's the only way I see is fair. Because then that's still not fair, but that group of people is being woken up at that time. And then the next day at that time, that same group of people. Now you're going to say, or somebody's going to say, well, that takes the whole randomness out of it. Well, I don't see it being super fair that you're waking somebody up at 2:00 in the morning to drug test them, and then you're waking their opponent up at 5:00. I understand the purpose, but there's got to be a more fair way of deciding or figuring that out. I don't know what that is.
So it says, as of July 20th, no positive test or anti-doping violation had been publicly announced from this tour. A targeted test, even one judicially authorized, is not evidence of a positive result. The ITA program, more than 360 pre-tour out of competitive tests, approximately 600 samples planned during the race. So, I mean, there are more than, we heard about those two because they happen to be, some of the guys at the top. I imagine some of the guys who are in the mid or the end are probably getting tested. They're just not speaking up or whatever.
It's not.
It says,
here's my problem. What happens if they're taking something during the race? What happens if something's put in their food, put in their water bottle? I don't know. Something that's happening in the middle of the race. They could be doping during the race if there was some way to conceal that in food or drink or gels or something that they're taking. You wouldn't be able to. And then if it goes away that quickly, I mean, they take it towards the beginning of the race, it'd be gone by the end of so it's just, I don't know.
So they're saying here that they test every stage winner and the yellow jersey winner, no matter what, every test. They're
Every day.
Yeah, they're testing every day. So
but is it always at 2:00 and 5:00?
Good question.
Test
and then
at
also
11:00 in the evening and 6:00 in the morning. Because that's the time frames they can do it in instead of. I don't know. I don't think there's a good answer to it. It needs to be done. I don't know how to do it without.
On behalf of Adam
and Michael,
we both want to say thank you
for your support.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is very interesting. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like in my mind that there has to be like some better way of doing this, but maybe not. I mean, I think the same thing for drug test. I mean, it's like we've been fighting the oral drug testing for years. And what I mean is currently my employees have to go give urine drops. And yes, there are some companies that use hair drops, hair pulls, but I mean, they're looking at oral where you put like the lollipop sucker in your mouth for 10 minutes and then they can test, it just seems to me that there'd be a better way. I mean, just finishing the ITA program in here, it says the athlete biological passport analysis. And then, of course, the samples are going to be stored for 10 years. I mean, but it's not all of them. It's only selected. And so, I mean, how do you decide who was selected?
It's like anything else. Any rules with any sport, everything is subjective. I mean, from the officials' point of view and all this other stuff. So, you just got to, I guess, say that's the way it is and deal with it.
All right. I have some other things here. What about Pogacar? I mean, his dominance, like you keep saying every night, and I'm really appreciating because it's making me pay attention a little bit closer. You keep saying he's going to be very hard to beat. Is his dominance, in your opinion, good for the sport? Like people started to becoming like, oh yeah, Lance Armstrong again, he's going to win again. And oh yeah. Do you think that his monster hill climbing and everything is good for the sport? Or is it like, oh yeah, go? Or is it like, all right, we get it, you're good?
No, I think it's good for the sport. I mean, you always have every once in a while these really great athletes come along in any sport and they dominate for a while. Cycling's no different. I don't think it. I think what really takes away from the tour is when you look at like day 4 or day 5 and some guy's just totally dominating it. And it's like, yeah, he's going to win unless something horrible happens. This has been close. I mean, we're only 5 minutes separating first from second at this point. It would be hard to do, but we do have individual time trials and you never know. At least keep it close, keeps it exciting. But I don't think that's a bad thing that he's dominating right now because, I mean, it's really hard for these cyclists to come back the next year and be just as dominant because, they've been in other races. They may have had injuries. They may have had, crashes, things like that. The teams are always shaking up. So they have different, people on the team to help them out. So I think it's good. I mean, everybody likes to get on there and cheer for, Tade or, cheer for somebody else, Evenepoel or whatever. It's like, yeah, let's, start making up the time. Now, I think if we're here 3 years from now and we're talking about, well, he's won the last 2, he's leading another one, kind of getting back to the whole Armstrong thing, then it just got a little bit stale. It's like, okay, Armstrong, the announcers would get on there and go, yep. Armstrong and, his team's looking awesome. We pretty much assume that he's going to win unless something happens. So it did get very stagnant after 7, but you don't really see that. And there's a reason why he won 7 in a row, which we won't talk about now, but yeah.
It has to go along with that doping, anti-doping. But, before I move on to, you mentioned time trial, I have something on that, but I know that you're not a fan of him, but I did watch the Armstrong podcast and he had some guests on, and he said that, how Pogacar was dominating, and a comment that he made, the 2 guests that were on the show did not comment on. And his comment was something, I don't want to misquote him, but it was something along the lines of, Pogacar's not done until he gets more than, a certain number. And the guest was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, he wants a certain number of wins before he goes on. And they're like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, well, there's a certain someone who got 7 and he's going to want more than 7 in his career. And the 2 guests didn't say anything.
And this is why I have a problem with him talking and doing anything about tour stuff, because it's like, you didn't get 7. There's not a special number of 7 out there because you didn't win 7. Show me on the record books where you won 7. So it's like, no, he's not looking at, I don't think anybody's like, oh, I got to get 7 or I got to get 8 to beat Armstrong, because I don't think any of them are looking at Armstrong and they're all looking at him and it's like, well, he didn't win any of them. So why would we be concerned with that? That's just an ego comment there, as far as I'm concerned.
You mentioned time trials. do you think that Evenepoel can build up enough points in the individual time trials to, to secure second place before going into the Alps, or do you think?
I think you'll see Evenepoel tomorrow. I think you'll see him do very well, and I think you'll see him move closer. And that's
gotcha.
I know there's a lot of people out there going, no way, he's not going to. I am going to step out on the limb, the branch, right to the edge and say, I think Evenepoel will make up some time tomorrow during the individual time trials. And I mean, he's not going to surpass him. He's not going to make like 3 or 4 minutes, but I think he could make a minute and a half up on time trials to get him a little closer. And I hope he does, because then if he can grind a minute and a half away, it's gonna make it a little bit more exciting.
Can I switch gears to the polka dot jersey, sir?
Take it where you want to go, man.
Do you think that the polka dot jersey is becoming like, I mean, I know it's King of the Mountain. I get that. But do you think it's kind of like, as I'm paying attention more and more and more, it almost seems like second place. I mean, I know we talk about the green jersey, we talk about the white jersey, we talk about the yellow jersey, and its notifications and its statuses and its points. But I don't know. It just seems like even the commentators and even like the footage that I'm watching, it seems like polka dot gets a lot more attention. I was just wondering if you thought, that's just my question. Is it becoming more like a second place prize? So.
Are you saying second place in a bad way?
No. Not
okay.
not derogatory.
I was just making sure. I think the reason why there's so much emphasis put on the KOM, the King of the Mountain jersey, is because, you've got the sprint sections and stuff, which are exciting, but can you really beat the excitement of King of the Mountain? They're climbing up the Alps, the Pyrenees, these just monstrous mountains, and they're doing it with speed, and sometimes it's raining and all this craziness. I mean, that's just good TV. I mean, it's all good TV, but boy, everybody loves the mountain thing. So I think the King of the Mountain jersey is a big deal because of the enthusiasm. I mean, just like when you watch the race, you see all the people along the sides in the countryside and along the sides of the route in town. But when you get to the mountains, you've just got people crowding in on the ride, and there's just thousands of people jammed in there, and they barely leave enough room for the cyclists to get down, because everybody wants to see these guys, these superstars, just be, climbing up these mountains at crazy speeds. So I think that's the deal. I mean, that's the King of the Mountain is really, the jazz, so to speak, for a lot of people when they're watching the Tour de France.
And all that jazz. Oh, no,
and
I'm just kidding.
Jazz.
I tell you what, it was interesting watching some of those guys on both sides, and they're like cheering on the riders. I mean, at some point, I'm watching them like pat them on the back. I'm like, now, if a bunch of you guys got together and you push the rider,
give up some, Swiss francs. He's being pushed.
Oh, that leads into my.
I have some real problems about that. It's like, okay, yeah, I love the fact that cycling and you can get right there next to the people. But I draw the line, and I don't approve when people are actually physically, patting them on the back and things like, no, don't touch the athletes. You're at the zoo. You don't touch the lions and the tigers. It's just, you shouldn't. I don't like it when they come to physical contact, even just like, patting them on the shoulder and stuff.
What about the roads? You think they should treat the roads to prevent melting if the treatment may affect traction?
No. I can say that very definitely. I think you let the roads be what the roads are. Because when you start putting coatings on the roads, things like these guys have trained on the roads. A lot of times, off season, they'll go and they'll ride like a lot, they'll have training camps in Europe and France and ride a lot of these roads and that type of thing. So they know the road. A lot of times if they, were there a couple weeks ago, they've rode some of these things, and now you've treated it. Now you've changed the environment. It's like putting a new basketball court down, before you play basketball when you haven't had a chance to play. It changes things slightly, and I just don't like it, and I don't think it's fair. I understand what they're saying, but unless you're can somehow keep that coding 6 months in advance or something, so people can get used to it and stuff. I don't like that idea. Plus,
Gotcha.
most of the roads that they're going to train on, even if they're not in France, aren't going to have that coding on. And cycling is very technical, and it's about a lot of physics and things like that. And I think you just mess with the wrong things.
Okay.
I'm going to get a lot of hate mail. I see this coming right now.
Excuse me, Mr. Armando, Michael, you have his number, so please give him your...
People are going to be like, man, who is this clown? Get rid of him. But hey, it's my own personal beliefs.
I got 2 more things for you tonight, and then we can talk about what's coming up next. So, should pushing off a car have more than a 20-second penalty?
No. And again, I'm very definite on that because it's not just a 20-second penalty. He's paying some Swiss francs, if that's actual real currency. No, I'm joking, because they're all paid. Let me explain. They're paid for all their winnings in euros, but anytime they're, have a penalty, they have to pay in Swiss francs. So I joke about that. But, they're not just out the Swiss francs, and they're not just out the time penalty. He also lost some UCI points and things like that. So it was multifaceted. So I think if you look at the whole package, I think that's more than enough. Now, if it was just like, oh, you lose, 10 seconds or 20 seconds or 30 seconds off your time, that might be like, well, it's not a big deal. But he lost several different things at several different levels, money, time, and then points with his UCI stuff. So I think that's more than enough.
Last thing I got for you before we talk about what's coming up in our final week of our wonderful mini series, which, by the way, I've really enjoyed, sir. So stage 9 was shortened by 30 kilometers under the red heat alert. I have two faceted question there. In your opinion, yes, for safety, do you think it should have been shortened? Which is question 1. And question 2 is they push the fans back. And obviously the fans could add or could subtract things. I mean, from, if you're coming into the end and you're willing to push harder because the fans are all there. So my 2-faceted question is A, do you think it should have been shortened for safety? And then do you think that they should have restricted the fans?
Well, there's 2 things there. Number 1, the fan restriction, if I understand or remember correctly, was due to a forest fire that they had going on, they didn't let fans up on the mountain for like 30 kilometers or something like that.
It's a wildfire. Yeah, right. Wildfire.
Due to wildfires. I think that's perfectly acceptable. I mean, wildfires I've fought wildfires down in New Mexico before. Those things, let me tell you, the wind changes a little bit. You get a ton of thousands of people up there. The wind changes. I mean, you could be then having to evacuate thousands of people because the wind shifted and you weren't expecting it. So for safety reasons, I think that totally understandable. I don't think it really affects the race at all. It just makes it like the TV viewing, a little less exciting. And the people that were planning on that, I'm sure they're disappointed. What was your other one? It was
the 30 kilometers should have been shortened.
I have no problem with that. I think that is a fair assessment. The temperatures have been extremely high. Dehydration's been a problem. Just the overall gruel of the tour naturally is tough. I don't have a problem with them shortening the race for that reason, because those temperatures, I mean, you've got to look out. These people are professional athletes. You've got to look out for their safety. You have to look out for the safety of the people watching, the spectators, and you've got to look out for the safety of you've got the motorcycle guys out there, and they're having to wear their full motorcycle gear in that temperature. So you have to look at everyone's safety here. So I don't think that's a problem. I mean, there's been times, I think it was like 3 years ago, one of the mountain things, they were getting snow up there, and it actually, this flash flood ice thing happened. and actually caused them to actually call the race on that day because of this massive ice flow and water coming off the mountain. So I think for safety reasons, it's perfectly acceptable to do that. I mean, and justified.
I appreciate that. I think we've had some good discussion. We wanted to give like where we're at. You've been paying attention to this mini-series. We appreciate it. We didn't want to give you a day-by-day yammering on, so we wanted to kind of have some discussion. But what do we got coming up? We got stage 16 through 21. Tomorrow, 26-kilometer individual time trials. Evenepoel's best chance to secure second. Stage 18, we're going to have a summit finish, which looks exciting. Stage 19 will be the first. How did you pronounce that? Alpe d'Huez? Alpe.
I don't remember. Alpe.
ALPEDHUEZ finish.
I don't remember.
That's all right.
I had it, and now you put me on the spot, and I'm like, Altuaz. Was that it?
There, I was gonna. Yes.
Okay.
Then the second day of that will be stage 20, and then coming into Paris, on stage 21. So, I mean, I would think you were just afraid to mispronounce it because you are getting.
Oh, I probably already mispronounced it, which but there you go. One thing I did want to add, there was a significant dropout of an individual yesterday. Tim Malier dropped from Soudal Quickstep. He's a 3-time stage winner, climbed off of his bike after becoming completely exhausted in the high mountains. He was just to the point of total exhaustion, and he had to leave the tour. So, which is surprising. I mean, he's a obviously 3-time winner. That's just telling you how grueling this year's ride is. So unfortunately, we lost him. I mean, we didn't lose him. He left the race. Let's not make it sound grim.
I don't have Tap lined up. I mean,
that's not.
Well, listen, I appreciate you guys paying attention. We will have highlights from tomorrow. We're also working on a regular show. So don't worry. We haven't steered away from our original thoughts and the original roots. But I know you've all been sticking around. So without further ado, sir, let me give you your favorite tune.
Do it.
Welcome to the leaderboard breakaway. Catch the sun and seize the day. Push the limit, feel the heat. Listen to the rhythm beat. Keep on moving, never slow. Where the yellow jersey goes. The tour is calling out your name. This is the leaderboard breakaway.